Tav X, period becoming one. Tav X, period becoming one. Um, they only slay us with no apologies or anything. Listen, I know PM Johnson, you told me, oh, don't say what time, whatever, but there gotta be a time because I gotta go. And you know what? I was gonna add these two little clips into my not hors d'oeuvre, my main course. And but I said no. You know what? I want this to be the prelude to the main course, and I didn't have time to do it yesterday or today. But I said, you know what? Let me give this prelude to my main course of this one specific topic. It has to deal with the heathens. I heard, I went on somebody's channel. There's supposed to be a Torah Tanakh, supposedly Torah Tanakh, and they're adding heathen Gentiles and so forth and so on. Again, never remember what I'm telling you, and now what I'm telling you, which is in this book right here, the Tanakh, Genesis 12:3. Those who bless Israel will be blessed; those that curse Israel will be cursed. But that doesn't mean that they have the promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But people have done this. Even Torah Tanakh people today in 2023. People today in 2023. How you doing, Heavy Talk? Listen, I didn't call anybody, tell anybody that I was coming on. I said, let me just come on because this is a prelude to the main course video that will be coming out this week. I could do it today, but I don't have time. And not that I don't have time for the Most High, because I make a lot of videos, but I have to literally go. And this video is short, and I'm going to just start with you two guys. People confuse the strangers, aliens, and foreigners. And I made videos before, but I guess I got to make it again. Christian people definitely do that. That's part of their mantra. Some Messianics and even some Torah Tanakh people, they think that the strangers, aliens, and foreigners are only people that are non-Israelites, because it's very simple. There's the Israelites, which are the Negro types who suffer the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26, the poster child of those curses, the only one that are affected by the curses, who are scattered through the four corners of this flat earth, who all the people despise. That's why when you read Isaiah 60, this is, and their sons will come bowing, and all they that despise thee will come bowing at your feet. The world hates the Negro. No, yes, they do. And what people do is you got a couple people within the heathen Gentiles of the world, the different heathen Gentiles, the different strangers, aliens, and foreigners and Gentiles. They don't realize that the Israelites will call strangers, aliens, and foreigners because they haven't graduated Hebrew 101. They don't realize 17 times in this, could be more, that the Israelites, Abraham and the Israelites, are called strangers, aliens, and foreigners. And they call themselves that as well. I'm not going to get this in this video. It's going to be in the video that I make this week. It's going to be the core, the main course meal of this topic that I'm talking about, which is about the heathens, including them into the fold of the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yes, there will be strangers and Gentiles in the new kingdom, but they're not going to be in the same position. They don't have the promises. The Most High is just going to spare them because they weren't just as ultimate supreme devils as their counterparts. 2/3 of the Israelites are going to be destroyed, and 2/3 of these wicked demon heathens. And 2/3 of the Negro types, they're demons as well, and the Most High is going to get rid of them. But what people like to do, like, I don't know if you ever heard of Pastor Dow. He's a Messianic. But anyway, the thing is, he has heathen Gentiles in the front rows on his staff, calling them mock, and no. I'm not going to get no more into that. And listen, I'm not going by a way of hate or or this or that or this or that. I'm gonna go right through here, and it's gonna make people. You have to make a choice. The line is drawn. Do you actually believe what this says, or you don't? Over 17 times, the Israelites are called strangers, aliens, and foreigners. So when you look at the scriptures, you have to make a delineation, anyway, a line in the sand where you go, okay, these strangers, aliens, and foreigners, they are Isaiah 14. They're Jeremiah 30. They're Isaiah 60. They're Psalm 149. They're Malachi 3. They're Obadiah 115. The Isaiah 59. You have to make those are the majority of the world. And then the stranger, aliens, and foreigners are Israelites that didn't live in the land. And the Israelites that live in the land, when they see them, or when they come by them, they call them aliens, strangers, and foreigners because they're not born in the land. And for the ones that are born in the land, that live like the Grecians and the Romans and don't keep commandments, they look at them like Gentiles, like aliens, strangers, and foreigners. It's really simple. I'm the Koheleth. I've studied for decades now. It's a thing that eludes a lot of people that talk about, hey, he's a brother. No, he's an alliance. Yes, Israel will have alliances. And you can trust them, whatever, but they're in the outer court. And people don't want to make it. They hey, you're a nigger, you're mad, you're mean, no, I'm not. I'm just scriptural and you don't like the truth. So you can wait for that main course. I'm just going to share, these are going to be the little other appetizers before I bring you that main course. Come on, let's finish with this already. Uplift your brothers. Your brothers are Hebrew Israelites. The strangers and aliens that are going to get in line, fear the Most High, know their place. Their place is not designated by me. It's designated by the Most High in here. Whether the people don't like to hear that, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but it is what it is. It's just truth is itchy, uncomfortable. So I'm going to show you this. And what I'm going to tell you is in Zechariah 11. Yeah, I think it's Zechariah 11. It says, our oppressors slay us and hold themselves not guilty. And then say, hey, we're doing good, we're rich and stuff. I'm just going to show you a little example of it. You haven't gotten reparations. Keeps calling us nigger, monkey, you're lazy, you're a super predator, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They took all our land, stole our culture, did everything. Not one apology, not one, here's some money to, maybe we can eat it. Nothing. Because they're going to go out as a devil. They were created as a devil, and they're going out as a devil. And that little tiny percentage, that less than 1% of the heathen Gentiles that are not, they don't act like them. The Most High woke them up so they can be very good servants to the Israelites. I'm not talking about them. I give a clap to them. But still, in all, the Most High doesn't just look at people as individuals. He looks at people as groups. That's why the prophets went, Jeremiah, he was in prison. Isaiah, Jeremiah, I'm not saying Job, but Job, Moses, all of these guys, Daniel, everybody suffering. They had it because the Most High judgment is not just, he's going to give you individual judgment, but he's giving judgment as the group. So the heathen want to go, oh, no, I'm not like my kinsmen. Okay, but you have to still get the business. But you get it less with favor. That's all it is. I'm sorry to say. So this is a prelude. So I want to get you primed up for when the main course comes Monday, Tuesday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. So watch this. Remember in Ezekiel 7, he said, I'm sending the worst of the heathens to possess your house. What heathens? The heathen Gentiles of the world. Watch this. You go fair use. You know, their bill is unpaid, the heathen Gentiles of the world. And I know a lot of them think they're going to just escape. Some people try to run back and say, oh, I know you guys, you Negroes, are the Hebrew Israelites. And I love you, and I want to, yes, thank you. But your group has to pay. The prophets went into captivity and they wasn't breaking the law. But the Most High judges nation groups. He said he separated the sons of Adam. He separated them by nations. So you heathen Gentile, if you're listening later on or whatever, you got to get the business too. That's just what it is. So, but you know, with less intensity. They haven't paid. Ezekiel 7, he brought the worst of the heathens to possess our houses. Deuteronomy 32, he says, Israelites, since you made me just, I'm going to make you just. I'm going to bring a foolish nation and no people to be over you to possess your house. When they possess your house, they do everything to you. And a lot of them felt like, hey, the Negroes are cursed because they got brown skin. They don't realize that everybody on earth first had brown type skin. And what's going to happen is, anyway, let me just get to the video because I don't want to give out my main course, which is coming in a couple of days. Right here, check it out.
An urban legend says that black children were used as alligator bait during the 19th and early 20th centuries. At first, I thought this was an anomaly or something. Maybe like a tall tale of hunters bragging about hunting apex predators. But then I saw it over and over again. And now, I can't unsee it. This is real. This is dark. It is disgusting the lengths humans will go to hurt each other. And it is terrifying how deep the racism in the United States goes. This is what I want to share with you today. My point is not to make you feel bad, but to help us understand the brutality and sheer depravity of our history. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by Martin Luther King Jr. We are not makers of history. We are made by history.
It's a chant that has reverberated around the swamp for at least a quarter century, but the gator bait chant will no longer be endorsed by the University of Florida because of its origins.
Back in 2020, the University of Florida banned its band and athletes from using the gator bait cheer. This was a part of a larger initiative to remove any symbols or association with the cheer's racist history. In 1996, after winning against their rival Florida State University, Lawrence Wright said,
"If you ain't a gator, you must be gator bait."
While the cheer itself is not racist, the phrase is. The phrase gator bait is connected to old stories about black children being used as bait for alligators. This was reported in many publications in the early 1900s, and there are some records to back it up. In the 1800s to 1900s, alligator hunting was a big business, a lucrative trade. The skin from these animals was used to make belts, bags, shoes, and other highly sought-after products. The white settlers saw the land and its wealth as unlimited. So, they would continuously deplete its resources, whether that meant mining, agriculture, or hunting wildlife. Crocodile and alligator hunting was a highly popular sport in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Among all exotic leathers, both alligator and crocodile skins were very expensive and well-liked products. But the only way to get these skins was to hunt wild animals. And since the demand for the raw material went up, the rich were willing to pay good money for it. This meant more and more people were eager to take the deal. In the 19th century, people used rifles, muskets, and shotguns. Now, I'm not talking about the fast-loading, quick-shooting type of weapons we use today. This is 19th century technology that uses simpler and older mechanisms. In most cases, you would have to load the muzzle with gunpowder before you could aim and shoot. A lot of people without military experience could only manage to shoot 2 shots per minute. Some weapons that use the mini ball, which is a low hollow-based bullet, were made to load faster. But even with weapons such as these, alligator hunting was never easy. White hunters would often lose an arm or a leg, and in some cases, their lives, trying to catch and kill these predators. So they decided to use bait that would lure the alligators from their swamps and turn them into easy prey. But this was no ordinary bait. Some say small black children were often used as bait to catch these apex predators. This might have happened in Louisiana, Florida, and any other parts of the South. white men would come to steal the babies, sometimes in broad daylight, at other times, when the mothers weren't looking, and take these children to the swamp, put them in pens, or tie them with a rope and leave them right next to an alligator's den. In a matter of minutes, the alligators would come out and go after their prey. This is brutal, gut-wrenching. This is a vintage postcard from Florida. It depicted the horrible image of white people using children as alligator bait. Such a deep level of racism was highly prevalent in the American South and was often used to attract tourists, making it a hotspot for white hunters. During the Jim Crow era, African Americans lived a horrible life. They were often mistreated, beaten, and killed in the most brutal way imaginable. If there was a way to oppress, maim, murder, or use black people, they would find it. The atrocities were endless, and they were a part of normal life. Some reports show that black children being used as alligator bait really happened. It happened to real people. Even though it might not have been a highly common practice, it did happen in some regions, especially in the South. It is hard to even process how someone can think of something like that. But for the deformed and deranged human mind, atrocities such as these were deemed normal.
During the 2008 financial crisis, the stock market fell 37%, yet one man, hedge fund manager Larry Benedict, posted
That's because black people were seen as subhuman, worthless, and savage, and the lives of animals were considered more valuable than that of a black human child. Experts found a couple of news articles published in the 19th and 20th centuries. These written pieces contained evidence of this horrible activity. The children who were used as bait were probably not infants. They were taught to run out, sit, or make noises just at the right moment. When the alligator would burst out of its hiding place, the hunters would shoot. This created the perfect opportunity to catch the alligator off guard. Here's an article from the Washington Times from 1908. The word pickaninny is used to refer to a black child. This was a stereotype used to demean black children. White people used the term when they wanted to talk about something almost inhuman, unkept, and filthy. It was something dispensable. This was a common depiction even in popular media. The article talks about a zookeeper sending 2 black children into a paddock with more than 25 alligators and crocodiles. The hungry reptiles started chasing the children. This was a tactic they used to lead the reptiles back into their tank so that the tourists could view the animals in the summer. But there is more. Here's another article, this time from Richmond Times-Dispatch, issued in 1919. Here, in this mini story, we can see that the white community was not really happy with Florida authorities' decision to ban the use of African American children as gator bait. Then, it goes on to mock these children as if it was their fault for the sudden disappearance of alligators because they supposedly ate the pickaninnies and had digestive problems as a result. This is just vile. Here's another article from St. Louis Republic, published in 1902. This one described all the floats featured in the Veiled Prophet Parade of the city. The Veiled Prophet organization was a secret society established by a former Confederate soldier. He organized this parade to depict the history of the Louisiana Purchase. Float number 15, titled Plantation Life in Louisiana, showcased a scene where a massive alligator was depicted devouring a chubby young African-American child. Articles were not the only forms of content that would cover this horrible imagery of alligator baits. There are also postcards, branding, posters, and memorabilia, all providing the exact same thing. This is a postcard, and it is one of the many examples that show black children being used as alligator bait. In the United States, these early postal cards were the text messages of their time. They were cheap and practical to make and could reach a wide range of audience. At the time, they were meant to be mailed as commercial ads. Many of these postcards were printed with small designs or sketches called vignettes. They had a message on the side. At first, the cards were made just in black, but in time, they became increasingly available in color. The many surviving examples of such postcards tell a horrendous story. They were meant to address the people willing to use the lives of black children to collect a prized commodity, alligator skin. The white hunters were using human blood and flesh to lure monstrous crocodiles and alligators. To prepare for the activity, it is said that some white people kidnapped black children, tied them to a string, and dropped them in the swamps. Others would get groups of children and order them to stay over the alligator swamp, near the open mouths of hungry alligators. These children were fed to the predators whole. This is a documented event that can also be seen in old artifacts, such as product packaging and knickknacks. Here is a classic example of household ornaments that were sold in areas where alligator baits were deemed a tourist attraction. At the time, the shelves in stores were covered with these decorative objects. These antiques come in bold colors and highly intricate designs that don't shy away from America's brutal past. Many of these trinkets are displayed in the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Imagery. This was a system built upon itself to create and keep a society stuck in a vicious cycle of racial hierarchy. The gator bait was also included in popular rhymes and songs. Take The Mammy's Little Alligator Bait by Henry Wise and Sidney Perrin, for example. This lullaby was published in 1899. The lullaby teaches readers to sing and play a song about the gator bait. I can only guess who was reading it. Probably white children. The lyrics are relatively simple and easy to follow, and the music appears to be easy to perfect. I can't even imagine to what lengths did white parents go to shape and corrupt the minds of their children, filling them up with ideas of pure hatred and racism, even before they were ready to understand right from wrong. Here's another example. This time, a poem. This one gets to the point right away. It describes how a white hunter can't find a standard bait to catch a crocodile, but there are some black children playing around, which can serve as the perfect replacement. He can place the child on a hook and leave it to dangle over the swamps. The hunter waits, and the tempting bait does its job, and then swoops in for the kill. There's another book called Amos that talks about an alligator and black children. This book was published in 1957 in New York by the Comet Press Books. In this story, two young children of African American descent, called Buttercup and Amos, are playing in the swamp. They meet a crocodile named Snip Snip, and the three become best friends. Now, this plot is the complete opposite of what we see in other stuff. The children play happily with the crocodile, and there's no tragic ending. In the book, Amos and Buttercup embarked on an exciting journey alongside Snip Snip, even riding on the crocodile's back. The trio ventured into a cave where Buttercup felt frightened, while Amos remained overly trusting. Inside the cave, they discovered Snip Snip's baby resting amidst a pool of treasures. The two friends named the baby crocodile Nip Nip. Towards the story's end, Snip Snip kindly offered to give Amos and Buttercup a ride back home. In return, the crocodile mother asked them to keep their friendship a secret while promising to share her treasures with them. The story had a happy ending, since no one met a tragic fate. However, the story did focus on classic stereotypes. The narrative did associate black children with dangerous reptiles, even if it didn't explicitly use them as bait. The gator bait is also represented in product packaging. Take a look at the branding for this soap and candy product. These anti-black images were often used to perpetuate racial stereotypes and reinforce white supremacy. They were used in various forms of advertising and marketing, including product packaging, advertisements, and promotional materials. These images were meant to dehumanize black children, and it worked. By depicting black children as nothing more than baits, the white community could normalize their harmful and negative perceptions. This was used to convince people that these children had no rights and didn't deserve their respect. It was a way of normalizing and promoting behavior that would deny them basic human rights and dignity. Now, these stories about gator bait, without a doubt, reveal a deeply disturbing racism that was widespread in the American South, but many people believe that it is very unlikely that this thing actually happened. Although alligators can eat humans, they prefer to eat small mammals, snakes, turtles, rough fish, and birds. Given the choice, they would hunt for prey that's readily available.
The egret apparently has eyes only for the stick. And the alligator has snagged the chef's snuff.
Secondly, these news stories, books, poems, and lullabies come from third-hand accounts. They were clearly designed to appeal to a profoundly racist audience that found these tales amusing. So, they might have been written to appeal to the market base, or they could have been passed down from generation to generation as word-of-mouth tales. Also, children, even of African American descent, were still worth money, so it would be unreasonable to take them to a swamp and tie them up to attract alligators. These children would still be valuable to the owner. They cost money. Would a slave owner want a handicapped worker? Not really. Sad, but true. A chicken would be a better bait. It would cost next to nothing and can get the job done. But when I think about the lynchings, breeding farms, and all the horrible things that black people went through, it is easy to imagine how the bait stories are just another part of our dark history.
Helen Hansel was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because she had won 7.
After the Civil War, the United States created a law to protect the rights of previously enslaved African Americans. But the Jim Crow laws were specifically designed to undermine and disregard these rights. From the 1870s to the 1960s, Jim Crow laws enforced a cruel racial hierarchy in the southern states. These laws deliberately bypassed the protections established after the Civil War, including the 15th Amendment, which granted black men the right to vote 150 years ago. These discriminatory laws stripped Black people of their rights, subjected them to public humiliation, and perpetuated their economic and educational marginalization. Anyone who challenged this social order faced ridicule, harassment, and even violence. The term Jim Crow originated in the 1820s when a white comedian named Thomas Rice created a character named Jim Crow. This stereotypical character became a common feature in minstrel shows and was also used as a derogatory nickname for Black people. After the Civil War, the 13th Amendment officially ended slavery. However, white Americans in the former Confederacy opposed emancipation. They swiftly took action to deprive Black people of their newfound freedoms. They enacted Black Codes, modeled after previous slave laws, which denied Black individuals various rights, such as owning property, freedom of movement, and opening a business. These codes were meant to recreate a similar dynamic to the forbidden master-slave relationship. When the North retaliated, Congress passed constitutional amendments, known as the Reconstruction Amendments. These amendments aimed to ensure the freedom and civil rights of formerly enslaved people. The 14th Amendment granted citizenship and equal protection under the law, while the 15th Amendment prohibited the denial of voting rights based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Southern states were required to ratify these amendments to be readmitted to the Union. However, while states reluctantly complied with federal law, they made minimal efforts to abolish the Black Codes. Meanwhile, any Black person who would dare challenge the status quo would get beaten or murdered by groups like the Ku Klux Klan. So, I think that the gator stories hold some truth. To catch and trap a gator, hunters would need a bait that's kicking and thrashing, one that would make a lot of noise and draw the gators in. To be honest, I think that racists during the slave times in Florida and Louisiana would have easily done this. White people didn't want more Black people to be born in their communities, and they were already used to traumatizing African Americans. So they would see this as a simple way of getting what they want, to make a point. In times like these, this would have been allowed. There would be no repercussions. Back then, it was impossible to arrest, charge, or prosecute a white man for doing anything against a Black man. When there are people in this world that you would rather see suffer, you could orchestrate an event that would spread fear throughout the entire country. The gator bait would have served its purpose. There are different ways people have harvested alligators over the years. But with the invention of firearms, alligator hunting became a popular practice in the United States, especially in the South. Some stories, however, claim that there is a possibility that Black children were used as bait. They were kidnapped and tied down next to a swamp so that white hunters could take the shot. This is a tough pill to swallow. For many people, the alligator bait concept is difficult to accept, and for good reason. No one likes to see children getting slaughtered, let alone believe that alligator baits were a common practice. So, it is much easier to believe that this is the result of mere folklore or anecdotal myths. But if a number of newspapers, postcards, books, and trinkets depicted the story, how can we say that this didn't happen? While we can't know for sure, we can definitely say that the colonizers ended the lives of countless Black people. It ruined the lives of many and left both children and adults irreparably scarred. This is the kind of history that shouldn't be forgotten. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more content like this. Until next time.
Okay, at 3 in the room, PM Johnson, heavy talking, i.s.u.p. branch. i.s.u.p., you came in late. Watch, I know you've been on a while, but watch what you missed, how I explained that this is a prelude to the video that I'm going to make probably Tuesday or Wednesday. Oh, you're just bringing up bad things. Won't you leave? That was in the past, happened a long time ago. Just pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Stop being a victim. And all the phrases that they tell us. Like I wrote on this title, no apologies. Our oppressors slay us and just call us niggas and you don't know what you're talking about. You're just lazy and all that. The problem is, for them, they are not just the heathen Gentiles, but the Most High is just. And all these things that have been done and covered up, don't talk about it. Just call them lazy. Just tell them stop playing the victim role. And just, he doesn't have money. He doesn't have a good job. His health is bad. All this because of him. Because he did it. And they sit back Problem for the heathen Gentiles. Remember, in that video that I'm going to make probably on Tuesday, there's two different worlds of strangers, aliens, and foreigners. If you follow Messianic crazy Pastor Dow, you're going to say, hey, everybody's the same. No, they're not. Because the Most High is just. Problem is with you people, you're not just. So you know when Israelites, if you do something, you got to repay. When has the heathen Gentiles have repaid? I just showed you one type of incident. There's probably a million different demonic things they have done. And you say, you're just playing the race card. No, I'm playing the justice card. The Most High and the Israelites are going to be the Justice League. I should have put that as an avatar. It's going to be the Justice League. And what he has put in the scriptures, this is what's coming to be. It's already written. The ending has been already written. And what's in the end is justice, vindication, restitution. That's written at the end that you can't see. But if you read the scripture, but scripture is only Genesis to Malachi, this is only a Torah Tanakh Hebrew Israelite channel. The only creator and the only savior is the Most High. He's the one found in Exodus 3:14 who told Moses to tell Pharaoh, I am that I am, I will be. I say it this way. I hear, I shall hear. You can say it whichever way you choose to say it. But the true Justice League is coming back. They could think, we have Hebrew Israelites that, rubbing shoulders and arms with the heathen Gentiles. Not the heathen Gentiles of the Negroes. And I already told you. The Israelites that weren't born in the Holy Lands, when the Israelites who lived in the Holy Lands looked at them, they said, those are strangers, aliens, and foreigners. This is Hebrew 101. And Israelites that lived in the Holy Land that try to live like the Romans and Greeks and heathen Gentiles, the Americans and Europeans, the people that kept Torah, they looked at them as strangers, aliens, and foreigners. But there's a group of strangers, aliens, and foreigners that are not physical born DNA Israelites. And I told you where they're found. You could just read Isaiah 14, 1 and 2. He said, I'm going to yet have mercy on Jacob and yet choose Israel and set them in their own lands. And the peoples that are with them, the Israelites are going to take them to their places in the land of the Most High as servants and handmaids. They're going to take them captives, who captives they were. They're going to rule over their oppressor. This is already written. This is already decreed. So you guys that have that Pastor Dow type mind frame that, oh, no, I'm going to call this guy out. No, he loves Torah. He loves us. He knows the Negroes up. No, you can be his alliance. You can be his alliance, but he's in the outer courts. He's not teaching up in front. He's not teaching other Israelites. You have to stay in your lane. There's going to be oligarchy in the new kingdom. Oligarchy is just a few that rule. And the few that's ruling, the number one, it says in Zechariah 14, it says, the Lord is the king of the earth, and that day there'll be one Lord with one name. He rules everything because he's the creator of everything. And guess what he did? He made somebody called King David. And his lineage, they rule the earth. And under them are the Hebrew Israelites. When you read Isaiah, we are going to be the viceroys, the little princesses. The girls will be the princesses and the guys will be the prince. Tsars in Russia, Tsars, emperors, governors of the earth. And all the lands behind the pole, which is tremendous, different, crazy, ginormous. That's how it's going to be. Daniel 7:27. And the kingdoms and the dominions and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be given to the saints of the Most High. whose kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions will serve and obey. All the Gentiles that are not physical Israelites, those are those dominions that are talking about in Daniel 7:27, and they will serve and obey. I don't want to give you the rest of it because the main course is coming out probably Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully this was edifying. Again, PM Johnson, Tavex, Heavy Talk Tavex, i.s.u.p.k Brants, and Black Superman 779. You came in late. I don't know who you are. I got that JPS Tanakh, and I got a book with 613 Mitzvah. Listen, Black Superman, you can call yourself, you can even change your name, Ubermensch. Ubermensch in German is Superman. It's the type of Superman that you don't see flying, that you don't see with a jawbone and killing 1,000 Philistines. But they got superpowers. And we're going to really have superpowers when we get into the new kingdom. The Ubermans. Uberman. I'm an Uberman. You're an Uberman. Hopefully this was edifying. Look out for my main course meal video about this topic in extensive detail, biblical Torah Tanakh extensive detail, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. This is New Yeshua Israel. Keep on the island too. Until next time.